Good evening, grizzly bears. I hope you're having a good day. Or if not, I hope I can make it a little bit more relaxed. Today I'm going to continue reading poems by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I'm having a little bit of trouble with allergies today, but I think I'll be able to get through a few poems. We'll see how long my voice holds out. So, the next thing we have to read is a series of poems called The Poet's Calendar, which, as you might imagine, has one poem per month. January. Janus am I, oldest of potentates. Forward I look, and backward and below. I count, as god of avenues and gates, the years that through my portals come and go. I block the roads and drift the fields with snow. I chase the wild fowl from the frozen fen. My frosts congeal the rivers in their flow. My fires light up the hearths and hearts of men. February. I am lustration, and the sea is mine. I wash the sands and headlands with my tide. My brow is crowned with branches of the pine. Before my chariot wheels, the fishes glide. By me, all things unclean are purified. By me the souls of men wash white again. Even the unlovely tombs of those who died. Without a dirge I cleanse from every stain. March. I, Martius, am, once first, and now the third. To lead the year was my appointed place. A mortal dispossessed me by a word, and sat there Janus with the double face. Hence I make war on all the human race. I shake the cities with my hurricanes. I flood the rivers and their banks efface, and drown the farms and hamlets with my rains. April. I open wide the portals of the spring to welcome the procession of the flowers with their gay banners and the birds that sing their song of songs from their aerial towers. I soften with my sunshine and my showers the heart of earth. With thoughts of love I glide into the hearts of men, and with the hours Upon the bull with wreathed horns I ride. May. Hark the seafaring wildfowl loud proclaim my coming and the swarming of the bees. These are my heralds, and behold my name is written in blossoms on the hawthorn trees. I tell the mariner when to sail the seas. I waft o'er all the land from far away the breath and bloom of the Hesperides, my birthplace. I am Maya. I am May. June. Mine is the month of roses, yes, and mine, the month of marriages. All pleasant sights and scents, the fragrance of the blossoming vine, the foliage of the valleys and the heights. Mine are the longest days, the loveliest nights. The mower's scythe makes music to my ear. I am the mother of all dear delights. I am the fairest daughter of the year. July. My emblem is the lion, and I breathe the breath of Libyan deserts o'er the land. My sickle as a saber I unsheathe, and bent before me the pale harvests stand. The lakes and rivers shrink at my command, and there is thirst and fever in the air. The sky is changed to brass, the earth to sand. I am the emperor whose name I bear. August. The Emperor Octavian, called the August, I bring his favorite, bestowed his name upon me, and I hold it still in trust. In memory of him and of his fame, I am the virgin, and my vestal flame burns less intensely than the lion's rage. Sheaves are my only garlands, and I claim the golden harvests as my heritage. September. I bear the scales where hang in equipoise the night and day, and when unto my lips I put my trumpet, with its stress and noise, fly the white clouds like tattered sails of ships. The treetops lash the air with sounding whips. Southward the clamorous seafall wing their flight. The hedges are all red with haws and hips. The hunter's moon reigns, empress of the night. October. My ornaments are fruits, my garments leaves, woven like cloth of gold and crimson dyed. I do not boast the harvesting of sheaves, o'er orchards and o'er vineyards I preside, though on the frigid scorpion I ride. The dreamy air is full and overflows with tender memories of the summertide, and mingled voices of the doves and crows. November. The centaur, Sagittarius am I, born of Ixions in the clouds' embrace. With sounding hoofs across the earth I fly, a steed Thessalian with a human face. Sharp winds the arrows are with which I chase. The leaves half dead already with affright, I shroud myself in gloom, and to the race of mortals bring neither comfort nor delight. December. Riding upon the goat, with snow-white hair I come, last of all. This crown of mine is of the holly. In my hand I bear the cercis tipped with fragrant cones of pine. I celebrate the birth of the divine and the return of the Saturnian rain. My songs are carols sung at every shrine, proclaiming peace on earth, goodwill to men. That was a series of poems by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow called The Poet's Calendar. Next up, we have a poem called Autumn Within. It is autumn, not without, but within me this is cold. Youth and spring are all about. It is I that have grown old. Birds are darting through the air, singing, building without rest. Life is stirring everywhere, save within my lonely breast. There is silence, the dead leaves fall and rustle, and are still. Beats no flail upon the sheaves, comes no murmur from the mill. Next up we have the Ford Lakes of Madison. Four limpid lakes, four Naiades, or sylvan deities are these, in flowing robes of azure dressed, four lovely handmaids that uphold their shining mirrors rimmed with gold, to the fair city in the west. By day, the coursers of the sun drink of these waters as they run, their swift diurnal round on high. By night, the constellations glow, far down the hollow deeps below, and glimmer in another sky. Fair lakes, serene and full of light, fair town arrayed in robes of white. How visionary ye appear! All like a floating landscape seems, in cloudland or the land of dreams, bathed in a golden atmosphere. Next up is Victor and Vanquished. As one who long hath fled with panting breath, before his foe bleeding and near to fall, I turn and set my back against the wall, and look thee in the face, triumphant death. I call for aid, and no one answereth. I am alone with thee who conquerest all. Yet me thy threatening form doth not appall, for thou art but a phantom and a wraith, wounded and weak, sword broken at the hilt, with armor shattered and without a shield. I stand unmoved. Do with me what thou wilt. I can resist no more, but will not yield. This is no tournament where cowards tilt. The vanquished here is victor of the field. Moonlight. As a pale phantom with a lamp ascends some ruin's haunted stair, so glides the moon along the damp, mysterious chambers of the air. Now hidden in cloud and now revealed, as if this phantom full of pain were by the crumbling walls concealed, and at the windows seen again. Until at last, serene and proud in all the splendor of her light, she walks the terraces of cloud, supreme as empress of the night. I look, but recognize no more objects familiar to my view. The very pathway to my door is an enchanted avenue. All things are changed, one mass of shade. The elm trees drop their curtains down, by palace, park, and colonnade. I walk as in a foreign town. The very ground beneath my feet is clothed with a diviner air. White marble paves the silent street and glimmers in the empty square. Illusion underneath there lies the common life of every day. Only the spirit glorifies with its own tints the sober gray. In vain we look, in vain uplift our eyes to heaven if we are blind. We see but what we have the gift of seeing. What we bring, we find. Next up we have a much longer work called The Children's Crusade. Part 1. What is this I read in history, full of marvel, full of mystery, difficult to understand? Is it fiction? Is it truth? Children in the flower of youth, heart in heart and hand in hand, ignorant of what helps or harms, without armor, without arms, journeying to the Holy Land. Who shall answer or divine? Never since the world was made, such a wonderful crusade started forth for Palestine. Never while the world shall last will it reproduce the past, nor will it see again such an army, such a band, over mountain, over main, journeying to the Holy Land. Like a shower of blossoms blown from the parent trees were they, like a flock of birds that fly through the unfrequented sky, holding nothing as their own. Passed they into lands unknown, passed to suffer and to die. Oh, the simple childlike trust. Oh, the faith that could believe what the harnessed, iron-mailed knights of Christendom had failed by their prowess to achieve. They, the children, could and must. Little thought the hermit preaching holy wars to knight and baron, that the words dropped in his teaching, his entreaty, his beseeching, would by children's hands be gleaned, and the staff on which he leaned blossom like the rod of Aaron. As a summer wind upheaves the innumerable leaves in the bosom of a wood, not as separate leaves, but massed all together by the blast, so for evil or for good, his resistless breath upheaved, all at once the many-leaved, many-thoughted multitude. In the tumult of the air rock the boughs with all the nests, cradled on their tossing crests, by the fervor of his prayer. Troubled hearts were everywhere, rocked and tossed in human breasts. For a century at least his prophetic voice had ceased, but the air was heated still by his lurid words and will, as from fires in far-off woods in the autumn of the year. An unwanted fever broods in the sultry atmosphere. Part 2. In Cologne the bells were ringing. In Cologne the nuns were singing hymns and canticles divine. Loud the monks sang in their stalls, and the thronging streets were loud with the voices of the crowd. Underneath the city walls, silent flowed the river Rhine. From the gates that summer day, clad in robes of hodden gray, with a red cross on the breast, azure-eyed and golden-haired, forth the young crusaders fared, while above the band devoted, consecrated banners floated, fluttered many a flag and streamer, and the cross o'er all the rest, singing lowly, meekly, slowly, give us back the holy sepulchre of the Redeemer. On the vast procession pressed, youths and maidens. Part 3. Ah, what the master hand shall paint, how they journeyed on their way, how the days grew long and dreary, how their little feet grew weary, how their little hearts grew faint. Ever swifter day by day flowed the homeward river, ever more and more its whitening current broke and scattered into spray, till the calmly flowing river changed into a mountain torrent, rushing from its glacier green down through chasm and black ravine. Like a phoenix in its nest burned the red sun in the west, sinking in an ashen cloud. In the east above the crest of the sea-like mountain chain, like a phoenix from its shroud, came the red sun back again. Now around them, white with snow, closed the mountain peaks. Below, headlong, down the precipice, down into the dark abyss, plunged the cataract, white with foam. And it said, or seemed to say, "O return while yet you may, foolish children, to your home. There the holy city is." But the dauntless leader said, "Faint not, though your bleeding feet o'er these slippery paths of sleet move but painfully and slowly. Other feet than yours have bled, other tears than yours been shed. Courage, lose not heart or hope. On the mountain's southern slope lies Jerusalem, the holy." As a white rose in its pride, by the wind in summertide, tossed and loosened from the branch, showers its petals o'er the ground. From the distant mountain's side, scattering all its snows around, with mysterious, muffled sound, loosened fell the avalanche. Voices, echoes far and near, roar of winds and waters blending, mists uprising, clouds impending, filled them with a sense of fear. Formless, nameless, never ending. That was the end of the Children's Crusade. Seems like that work was unfinished. It is subtitled "A Fragment," so I suspect that's actually an unfinished work. Okay, next we have a poem called Chimes. Sweet chimes that in the loneliness of night salute the passing hour, and in the dark and silent chambers of the household mark the movements of the myriad orbs of light. Through my closed eyelids, by the inner sight, I see the constellations in the arc of their great circles moving on, and hark, I almost hear them singing in their flight. Better to sleep it is to lie awake, or canopied by the vast starry dome of the immeasurable sky, to feel the slumbering world sink under us and make hardly an eddy, a mere rush of foam on the great sea beneath a sinking keel. Next is 4 by the Clock. Nahant, September 8th, 1880, 4 o'clock in the morning. 4 by the clock, and yet not day, but the great world rolls and wheels away, with its cities on land and its ships at sea, into the dawn that is to be. Only the lamp in the anchored bark sends its glimmer across the dark, and the heavy breathing of the sea is the only sound that comes to me. Next, a poem called Auf Wiedersehen, in memory of J.T.F. Until we meet again, that is the meaning of the familiar words that men repeat at parting in the street. Ah, yes, till then, but when death, intervening, rends us asunder with what ceaseless pain, we wait for thee again. The friends who leave us do not feel the sorrow of parting as we feel it who must stay, lamenting day by day, and knowing when we wake upon the morrow, we shall not find in its accustomed place the one beloved face. It were a double grief if the departed, being released from earth, should still retain a sense of earthly pain. It were a double grief if the true-hearted, who loved us here, should on the farther shore remember us no more. Believing in the midst of our afflictions that death is a beginning, not an end, we cry to them and send farewells that better might be called predictions, being foreshadowings of the future thrown into the vast unknown. Faith overleaps the confines of our reason, and if by faith, as in old times was said, women received their dead, raised up to life, then only for a season, our partings are, nor shall we wait in vain until we meet again. Next up, we have a poem called Elegiac Verse. Peradventure of old, some bard in Ionian islands, walking alone by the sea, hearing the wash of the waves, learned the secret from them of the beautiful verse elegiac, breathing into his song motion and sound of the sea. For as the wave of the sea, upheaving in long undulations, plunges loud on the sands, pauses and turns and retreats, so the hexameter, rising and singing with cadence sonorous, falls, and in refluent rhythm back the pentameter flows. Not in his youth alone, but in age, may the heart of the poet bloom into song as the gorse blossoms in autumn and spring. Not in tenderness wanting, yet rough are the rhymes of our poet, though it be Jacob's voice, Esau's, alas, are the hands. Let us be grateful to writers for what is left in the inkstand. When to leave off is an art only attained by the few. How can three be one, you ask me? I answer by asking, hail and snow and rain, are they not three, and yet one? By the mirage uplifted, the land floats vague in the ether. Ships and the shadows of ships hang in the motionless air. So by the art of the poet our common life is uplifted. So transfigured, the world floats in a luminous haze. Like a French poem is life, being only perfect in structure, when with the masculine rhymes mingled the feminine are. Down from the mountain descends the brooklet, rejoicing in freedom. Little it dreams of the mill hid in the valley below. Glad with the joy of existence, the child goes singing and laughing, little dreaming what toils lie in the future concealed. As to the ink from our pen, so flow our thoughts and our feelings, when we begin to write, however sluggish before. Like the kingdom of heaven, the fountain of youth is within us. If we seek it elsewhere, old shall we grow in the search. If you would hit the mark, you must aim a little above it. Every arrow that flies feels the attraction of earth. Wisely, the Hebrews admit no present tense in their language. While we are speaking the word, it is already the past. In the twilight of age, all things seem strange and phantasmal. As between daylight and dark, ghost-like, the landscape appears. Great is the art of beginning, but greater the art is of ending. Many a poem is marred by a superfluous verse. And that very appropriately was the end of that poem. I'm not sure how I feel about that poem. That was elegiac verse by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Seems like he was experimenting a bit with that one. It was a bit meta. Up next we have the city and the sea. The panting city cried to the sea, I am faint with heat, oh breathe on me. And the sea said, lo I breathe, but my breath to some will be life, to others death. As to Prometheus bringing ease, in pain come the Oceanides. So to the hot city hot with the flame of the pitiless sun, the east wind came. It came from the heaving breast of the deep, silent as dreams are, and sudden as sleep. Life-giving, death-giving, which will it be? O breath of the merciful, merciless sea. I quite liked that one, except for the word Oceanides. It's not a very comfortable word to encounter in the middle of a poem. Wikipedia says, in Greek mythology, the Oceanids, or Oceanides, are the nymphs who were the 3,000, a number interpreted as meaning innumerable, daughters of the Titans, Oceanus and Tethys. Longfellow did love his Greek mythology. There are references to it everywhere in his poems. Next up we have memories. Oft I remember those whom I have known in other days, to whom my heart was led as by a magnet, and who are not dead, but absent, and their memories overgrown with other thoughts and troubles of my own. As graves with grasses are, and at their head the stone with moss and lichen so o'erspread, nothing is legible but the name alone. And is it so with them after long years? Do they remember me in the same way? And is the memory pleasant as to me? I fear to ask, yet wherefore are my fears? Pleasures like flowers may wither and decay, and yet the root perennial may be. Next up we have a poem called, and I'm almost certain to massacre this, Hermes Trismegistus. Trismegistus. Hermes Trismegistus. This one is going to be full of words, names, places that trip me up. Papa Bear is not afraid. Papa Bear charges into the dark unknown of this poem. Still, through Egypt's desert places, flows the lordly Nile. From its banks, the great stone faces gaze with patient smile. Still the pyramids imperious pierce the cloudless skies, and the Sphinx stares with mysterious, solemn, stony eyes. But where are the old Egyptian demigods and kings? Nothing left but an inscription graven on stones and rings. Where are Helios and Hephaestus, gods of eldest eld? Where is Hermes Trismegistus, who their secrets held? Where are now the many 100,000 books he wrote? By the thaumaturgist plundered, lost in lands remote, in oblivion sunk forever, and when o'er the land blows a storm wind in the river, sinks the scattered sand. Something unsubstantial, ghostly, seems this theurgist, in deep meditation mostly, wrapped as in a mist. Vague, phantasmal and unreal to our thought he seems, walking in a world ideal, in a land of dreams. Was he one or many, merging name and fame in one, like a stream to which converging many streamless run, till with gathered power proceeding, ampler sweep it takes, downward the sweet waters leading from unnumbered lakes. By the Nile I see him wandering, pausing now and then, on the mystic union pondering between gods and men, half believing, wholly feeling with supreme delight how the gods themselves concealing lift men to their height. Or in Thebes, the 100-gated, in the thoroughfare, breathing, as if consecrated, a diviner air. And amid discordant noises, in the jostling throng, hearing far celestial voices of Olympian song. Who shall call his dreams fallacious? Who has searched or sought all the unexplored and spacious universe of thought? Who in his own skill confiding shall with rule and line mark the borderland dividing human and divine? Trismegistus, 3 times greatest, how thy name sublime has descended to this latest progeny of time. Happy they whose written pages perish with their lives, if amid the crumbling ages still their name survives. Thine, O priest of Egypt, lately found I in the vast, weed-encumbered, somber, stately graveyard of the past. And a presence moved before me on that gloomy shore, as a waft of wind that o'er me breathed and was no more. Well, there we go. I got through it. Only got tripped up a couple of times. The next poem is called To the Avon. Flow on, sweet river, like his verse, who lies beneath this sculptured hearse, nor wait beside the churchyard wall for him who cannot hear thy call. Thy playmate once, I see him now, a boy with sunshine on his brow, and here in Stratford's quiet street the patter of his little feet. I see him by thy shallow edge, wading knee-deep amid the sedge, and lost in thought as if thy stream were the swift river of a dream. He wonders whitherward it flows, and fain would follow where it goes, to the wide world that shall ere long be filled with his melodious song. Flow on, fair stream, that dream is o'er. He stands upon another shore. A vaster river near him flows, and still he follows where it goes. Next we have a poem called President Garfield. And Mr. Longfellow is quite committed to making my job difficult, because this starts with a quote in Italian. Papa Bear is casually familiar with a few languages, but Italian is not one of them. So my apologies in advance for what I'm about to do to this. E veni dal martirio a questa pace. There we go, that's my best effort. These words the poet heard in paradise, uttered by one who, bravely dying here, in the true faith was living in that sphere where the celestial cross of sacrifice spread its protecting arms athwart the skies, and sat thereon like jewels crystal clear, the souls magnanimous that knew not fear, flashed their effulgence on his dazzled eyes. Ah me, how dark the discipline of pain, were not the suffering followed by the sense of infinite rest and infinite release. This is our consolation, and again, a great soul cries to us in our suspense. I come from martyrdom unto this peace. Next up we have my books. Sadly, as some old medieval knight gazed at the arms he could no longer wield, the sword two-handed and the shining shield, suspended in the hall and full in sight, while secret longings for the lost delight of tourney or adventure in the field came over him, and tears but half concealed trembled and fell upon his beard of white. So I behold these books upon their shelf, my ornaments and arms of other days, not wholly useless, though no longer used, for they remind me of my other self, younger and stronger, and the pleasant ways in which I walked, now clouded and confused. That was My Books by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. As an old bear, Papa Bear can identify with that. Next up we have Mad River in the White Mountains. Why dost thou wildly rush and roar, Mad River, O Mad River? Wilt thou not pause and cease to pour thy hurrying headlong waters o'er this rocky shelf forever? What secret trouble stirs thy breast? Why all this fret and flurry? Dost thou not know that what is best in this too restless world is rest from overwork and worry? What wouldst thou in these mountains seek, O stranger from the city? Is it perhaps some foolish freak of thine to put the words I speak into a plaintive ditty? Yes, I would learn of thee thy song, with all its flowing number, and in a voice as fresh and strong as thine is, sing it all day long, and hear it in my slumbers. A brooklet, nameless and unknown, was I at first resembling, a little child that all alone comes venturing down the stairs of stone, irresolute and trembling. Later, by wayward fancies led, for the wide world I panted. Out of the forest dark and dread, across the open fields I fled like one pursued and haunted. I tossed my arms, I sang aloud, my voice exultant blending with thunder from the passing cloud. The wind the forest bent and bowed, the rush of rain descending. I heard the distant ocean call, imploring and entreating. Drawn onward o'er this rocky wall, I plunged, and the loud waterfall made answer to the greeting. And now, beset with many ills, a toilsome life I follow, compelled to carry from the hills these logs to the impatient mills below there in the hollow. Yet something ever cheers and charms the rudeness of my labors. Daily I water with these arms the cattle of 100 farms, and have the birds for neighbors. Men call me mad, and well they may, when full of rage and trouble I burst my banks of sand and clay, and sweep their wooden bridge away like withered reeds or stubble. Now go and write thy little rhyme, as of thine own creating. Thou seest the day is past its prime. I can no longer waste my time. The mills are tired of waiting. Hello, sucking Tom Cruise's toes. It's nice to see you back. Welcome in. We are reading poems by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. As we have been for more than a month now. He wrote a lot of poems. Next up we have Possibilities. Where are the poets unto whom belong the Olympian heights, whose singing shafts were sent straight to the mark, and not from bows half bent, but with the utmost tension of the thong? Where are the stately argosies of song, whose rushing keels made music as they went, sailing in search of some new continent, with all sail set, and steady winds and strong? Perhaps there lives some dreamy boy untaught in schools, some graduate of the field or street, who shall become a master of the art, an admiral sailing the high seas of thought, fearless and first in steering with his fleet, for lands not yet laid down in any chart. Decoration Day. Sleep, comrades, sleep and rest, on this field of the grounded arms, where foes no more molest, nor sentries' shot alarms. Ye have slept on the ground before, and started to your feet at the cannon's sudden roar, or the drum's redoubling beat. But in this camp of death, no sound your slumber breaks. Here is no fevered breath, no wound that bleeds and aches. All is repose and peace, untrampled lies the sod. The shouts of battle cease, it is the truce of God. Rest, comrades, rest and sleep. The thoughts of men shall be as sentinels to keep your rest from danger free. Your silent tents of green we deck with fragrant flowers. Yours has the suffering been. The memory shall be ours. A fragment. Awake, arise, the hour is late. Angels are knocking at thy door. They are in haste and cannot wait, and once departed, come no more. Awake, arise, the athlete's arm loses its strength by too much rest. The fallow land, the untilled farm, produces only weeds at best. Loss and gain. When I compare what I have lost with what I have gained, what I have missed with what attained, little room do I find for pride. I am aware how many days have been idly spent, how like an arrow the good intent has fallen short or been turned aside. But who shall dare to measure loss and gain in this wise? Defeat may be victory in disguise. The lowest ebb is the turn of the tide. Inscription on the Shanklin Fountain. O traveler, stay thy weary feet. Drink of this fountain, pure and sweet. It flows for rich and poor the same. Then go thy way, remembering still the wayside well beneath the hill. A cup of water in his name. Next up we have the bells of San Blas. What say the bells of San Blas to the ships that southward pass from the harbor of Mazatlan? To them it is nothing more than the sound of surf on the shore, nothing more to master or man. But to me, a dreamer of dreams, to whom what is and what seems are often one and the same, the bells of San Blas to me have a strange, wild melody, and are something more than a name. For bells are the voice of the church. They have tones that touch and search the hearts of young and old. One sound to all, yet each lends a meaning to their speech, and the meaning is manifold. They are a voice of the past, of an age that is fading fast, of a power austere and grand. When the flag of Spain unfurled, it folds o'er this western world, and the priest was lord of the land. The chapel that once looked down on the little seaport town has crumbled into the dust, and on oaken beams below the bells swing to and fro, and are green with mold and rust. Is then the old faith dead, they say, and in its stead is some new faith proclaimed? But we are forced to remain naked to sun and rain, unsheltered and ashamed. Once in our tower aloof, we rang o'er over wall and roof our warnings and our complaints. And round about us there the white doves filled the air, like the white souls of the saints. The saints, ah, have they grown forgetful of their own? Are they asleep or dead, that opened to the sky their ruined missions lie, no longer tenanted? Oh, bring us back once more the vanished days of yore, when the world with faith was filled. Bring back the fervid zeal, the hearts of fire and steel, the hands that believe and build. Then from our tower again we will send over land and main our voices of command, like exiled kings who return to their thrones, and the people learn that the priest is lord of the land. O bells of San Blas, in vain ye call back the past again. The past is deaf to your prayer. Out of the shadows of night the world rolls into light. It is daybreak everywhere. We've been going for a little over an hour here. I've been suffering a little from allergies recently with the changing of seasons, but my voice is holding up pretty well, I guess. I think, though, I might end it there for the night, rather than push it, because my voice is giving me some warning shots. I hope you all enjoyed your time here. I hope you found some relaxation, peace, and calm I hope you can carry that feeling with you through the rest of your day, or evening, or night, whatever time it is for you.